You know those children's fables we all grew up with? They seem like simple stories with simple lessons. But what happens if we look at them a little differently? What if we treat them like a masterclass in conflict, negotiation, and, well, strategy? Today, we're going to do just that. We're breaking down a classic tale to really understand the brutal logic of a bad temper. At its core, this whole story really boils down to this one epic showdown. On one side, you've got brute force, the idea that one big, strong individual can just take what they want. And on the other side, collective power, something that looks small and weak, but is incredibly powerful when it works together. This is the setup, the real battleground, and a very, very grumpy bear is about to find out which one really wins. So, where does this all kick off? Well, it's not with some big, dramatic declaration of war. Nope, it starts with a simple, everyday problem. Our main character, Mr. Bear, just really wants a snack. And that's the thing, isn't it? So many huge conflicts start with something small, something you can almost relate to. Mr. Bear looks in his cupboard, it's empty, and he thinks, man, I could really go for some honey. It's a mission born out of a simple craving, not malice. But as we're about to see, even the simplest goals can spiral into total chaos when a big ego gets involved. So, the bear finds a beehive. Perfect. As he reaches in to get his prize, he runs into his first little roadblock. A single, tiny bee who zips out and basically says, hey, go away, this is not your honey. And this, right here, is the turning point. The whole thing could have ended here. Instead of trying to talk, or, just finding another beehive, the bear immediately escalates. His response isn't even about the honey anymore. It's about his pride. He's not just saying he's strong. He's arguing that his strength gives him the right to do whatever he wants. And that's his first huge mistake. He thinks that because he's bigger, he's automatically right. This was his off-ramp, his chance to de-escalate, but his arrogance just locks him onto this path of confrontation. So he ignores the little bee and reaches for the honey again. Well, when you ignore a warning, there are always consequences. For the bear, that consequence comes fast. It comes sharp, and it's delivered right on his nose. And this is the exact moment the conflict goes from a test of wills to just pure, raw emotion. I mean, think about it. The trigger is almost funny in how small it is. One little sting. That's it. But for this bear? Oh, this isn't just a physical sting. It's a massive insult to his ego. And his reaction is completely, wildly out of proportion. This chart just shows you everything you need to know. Look at that spike. His temper goes from basically 0 to 100 in a split second. All logic, all perspective, gone. The mission is no longer about getting honey, it's about revenge, it's about punishing the bee that dared to stand up to him. In this blind rage, he does what angry people do. He grabs the biggest, heaviest tool he can find, a stick, and makes an absolutely terrible decision. He's not trying to get the honey, he's not trying to swat one bee, he attacks the entire system. He smashes their home in one furious, catastrophic act. So he smashes the hive. For that 1 second, he must have felt amazing, right? Victorious. He showed them who's boss. But that feeling is not gonna last. His rage-fueled impulse is about to meet an immediate and, frankly, overwhelming reaction. Because suddenly, his problem isn't one tiny bee anymore. Oh no. By destroying their home, he has just turned a single opponent into an entire army. The sound just gets louder and louder as thousands of angry bees pour out of that wreckage, and they all have the same target. And the payback is immediate and painful. That collective power he completely wrote off, it's all over him now. They're stinging him everywhere. His brute force is completely useless against 1,000 tiny attackers working together. And just like that, the big, strong bear who thought he could do what he wants does the only thing he can do. He runs. He retreats in total defeat, slamming the door shut not on one bee, but on an entire army that his own bad temper created. His quest for honey, a complete and total failure. So he gets home, he's safe, he's covered in stings, and that rush of adrenaline starts to fade. And who's waiting for him? Mrs. Bear, who has that look on her face like, yep, I've seen this movie before. Listen to that key phrase, you did it again. That tells you everything. This isn't a one-off mistake. This is a pattern. It confirms that the bear's real enemy was never, ever the bees. It was his own temper. And that brings us right to the fable's simple, timeless, and painfully obvious conclusion. It's not about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about control. A hot temper, the story tells us pretty clearly, is a liability that will always get you into trouble you can't get out of. When you think about it, the bear's greatest asset, his size and strength, was the very thing that fueled the arrogance that led to his downfall, which leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on, doesn't it? In our own lives, when does the thing we think is our greatest strength actually become our biggest weakness?